Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Inside View Live with Teddy Panos. I am your host, Teddy Panos, coming to you live this morning from the spacious, luxurious, and beautiful Inside Lowell Studios. Glad to have you joining us here on InsideLowell.com or on our YouTube channel. Perhaps you're watching this recorded on one of those venues or even on our Facebook channel, but we're glad to have you here. InsideLowell.com is the web address, as we like to say, if Lowell is your home. This is your place. Very pleased this morning to welcome in the Superintendent of Police here in the city of Lowell, Barry Goldner. We're going to bring him in a quick moment. Just want to thank our sponsors for helping make this morning's broadcast possible, as well as all of our content at InsideLowell.com. Thank you to our friends at Washington Savings Bank. Still chance for you to get 30% back on your investment. 30%. I'm not kidding, folks. Lowell and Dracut residents, if you open an account at Washington Savings Bank and get $1,000 worth of direct deposits put into that account within a month, and that could be a direct deposit, your paycheck, a Social Security check, any qualifying direct deposit, $1,000 within a month, they're going to give you $300, 30% on your investment. Check it out right now. WashingtonSavings.com. Also find out about all their other great commercial, small business, and personal banking services. Thank you as well to our friends at Hafner's. Filled up my gas tank this morning right on the corner of Dutton and Market Street. Also, their home heating oil and propane services, unmatched, round-the-clock, fast, reliable service. Hope you don't need it this weekend, but if you do, your friends at Hafner's are there. Plus the Hafner's car washes. That's where I'm going after this cold spell. Got to get the grime off my car. Call 866-IT-KICKS, 866-IT-KICKS to learn more, or visit hafners.com. Thank you as well to our friends at Reverie 73. I know a lot of folks confused about the cannabis industry, still relatively new here in the Bay State and in the area of Lowell. It's tough to differentiate one product from another, one dispensary from another. Not the case at Reverie 73. You notice it right away. The outside of the store, the inside, it's bright, it's beautiful. They're knowledgeable staff, always willing to spend the extra time with you to answer any questions you have. So whether you're new to the world of cannabis or a canna connoisseur, the team at Reverie 73 is sure to elevate your cannabis experience. Visit them at 1148 Bridge Street in Lowell or order online at reverie73.com. Thank you to those sponsors. Thank you to all of our sponsors here at Inside Lowell. And with that, I turn my attention and my seat to the Superintendent of Police here in the city of Lowell, Barry Goldner. Good morning, Chief. Welcome to the Inside View.
Good morning, Ted.
Glad to have you here with us this morning. Your first appearance here in our studios. Lots to talk about this morning. Let's start with the policing issue that everybody's talking about across the country. Thankfully, we like to kind of knock on wood, say it's not happening here in our city or even in our Commonwealth. But the Tyre Nichols case once again highlighted the importance of many things that Lowell police stress. And I want to talk a little bit about those with you. But first, your overall thoughts on what transpired last month and how it's all unfolded publicly. What was your reaction when you heard about the case and then saw that troubling footage released?
So I think just as anyone who watched, the video, and we didn't see any more than you may have seen, anyone else has seen on the news, but it's disheartening. You take all the steps to move forward, and then this, you take a few steps back because of something that happens across the country. But as you said, the Lowell Police, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, probably took more stringent steps in the wake of the George Floyd incident with the creation of the Post Commission to monitor police activity and behavior in the Commonwealth. And the Lowell Police Department, under Superintendent Richardson, we also created an accreditation lieutenant and a patrol officer that's in there, and the Lowell Police Department became accredited. So our policies and procedures became in line with the best practices and model policies in the state of Massachusetts. So we've continued to move forward. In the wake of George Floyd as well, we put in a policy about duty to intervene, sure, which they talked about, I believe, in this incident as well, that some of the officers who didn't intervene and stop the negative behavior that was occurring in the assault that was occurring on. So we have policies and procedures in place. Our training continues, with escalation, de-escalation, and we purchased a virtual system, in which the city went to exorbitant financial costs to lease that system for over $300,000 for, I forget what the exact period of time is, to train officers in situations like this.
So I remember your predecessor, Chief Richardson, I believe you were the deputy superintendent at the time. You mentioned the duty to intervene. He instituted that. He also talked about how they were going to use the George Floyd case as, another way to kind of train, educate, make sure that officers in Lowell kind of knew what their duties were and how to properly carry them out. What, if anything, might you be instituting? Anything new that you can think of that you'll be instituting to try to ensure that something like what happened in Memphis doesn't happen here in Lowell?
So we continue. Our training division is very proactive. This week, hopefully today, we'll be picking. We had posted it in accordance with the union rules and regulations to last week. We posted to add 2 full-time training officers to the police department. We already have full-time academy staff, we have full-time training staff, but one thing that we've seen over the course of time is to have that continuity and consistency in our training, in our trainers. So when they go to the firearm range, when any type of training that we're doing, we're teaching the same thing, we're using the same verbiage by the instructors, and sometimes there's a lapse in that. And by adding these 2 full-time instructors, we're going to get that consistency. The police department, through the graces of the capital budget from last year and the plan, we're going to be transitioning our firearms to a new firearm over the course of hopefully the summer, beginning of the fall. And that's a significant amount of training. That's at least 16 hours per officer. So that'll take, at least 2 days for each officer to be retrained trained with the new firearm and to transition over. We're also going to be adding another less lethal force option to their tool belt. So we're looking to have the same people teaching everything on a daily basis.
What is that less lethal force option? So
this is something that came out. It's basically a 40 millimeter. It shoots like a Nerf type projectile. So it's an impact type of tool with for less lethal situations, which is the difference between that and, let's say, the beanbag option that we have now is that it can be used at closer quarters. I think it's 5 feet to, let's say, don't exactly, up to 75 to 90 feet. So it allows someone to utilize that in a close quarter situation, where beanbag shotgun type of round, less lethal option, you wouldn't want to use at that closer distance. So,
and the new firearm, the reasoning for upgrading those? So
the number one reason, the sidearms that the department are now using are meeting they're aging out in terms of potential for wear and tear and potential problems. And, I believe some of them are 10, 11 years old, if I'm correct in that, but they're aged out. That was one of the main things. And rather than continually trying to fix them and correct the problems, and God forbid someone has an issue if they needed to use it out in the street, so we're transitioning to a new one. We're going to a different firearm system that will have a better sighting system, equipped with a light, and it's also it'll be more manageable for people of smaller stature, like females and people that have smaller hands. There'll be less recoil. So, hopefully that the overall safety and security of the firearm is much greater for everyone.
So the technology upgrades are great, and having more tools in the tool belt, obviously important. But what was troubling about this case is they seemed to be using non-lethal measures to try to subdue him, apprehend him, cuff him, mace, pepper spray, whatever it was.
Right.
But that eventually something happened, and I don't want to call it human nature because that almost justifies it, but you saw that the officers completely kind of lost control, and it wasn't like they shot him. By the end, looked like they were just throwing bare hands at him. What goes wrong in that situation, and how do you stop? How do you train? How do you teach, human beings that are supposed to protect people to not lose control to that level, leading in a tragedy? Is that possible to do? Is that something that's ingrained in people's heads? People just can't understand how this happened again 30 years since Rodney King, less than 3 years after George Floyd. You would think that, police officers around the world, would have learned from that and learned to control themselves. And yet these 5, 6, whatever number officers didn't, plus all the ones that didn't intervene.
So, I don't know if you...
That's a long question.
Yeah. So I don't know if you can teach someone about human decency and abuse of power. And Massachusetts and the Lowell Police Department, and I think the Lowell Police Academy, everyone is taught the proper use of force and escalation and de-escalation. But I think this is beyond anything that has to deal with law enforcement. Like at some point, maybe it's going to come out the reason why that, what occurred. Was there some sort of relationship? Did someone know this person? There's a lot of unknown questions, I believe, in this that have yet to be answered to determine why they did what they did. Because, I've talked to other people in the agency, and we everyone tries to think of what went on there. But at no point did we ever see anyone try to handcuff, like that this was an arrest situation. It seemed that the issue here was doing what they did in terms of putting a beating on this individual, and we don't know why. I'm sure that'll come out at some point, what was going on, if there was a relationship, what occurred, and what precipitated their actions, which is obviously unconscionable in terms of what they did to the individual.
There's been some talk that lowering standards, background, and potentially, I believe in Memphis, this was also discussed, that they kind of started allowing people with criminal backgrounds. That's not to say, people with criminal backgrounds are all going to do something like this, but is there a reason? Is that like kind of an example of why, if you change the standards, some would say lowering the standards, you're more likely to get a situation like this? Does Massachusetts, does Lowell have higher standards? Because it's interesting to me, we're not talking about these kind of cases here in the Mill City. We've had some situations, but nothing to this level, right? Yeah. Well, is it simply a matter of knocking on wood, or are you doing something right in the Lowell police and the Massachusetts law enforcement community to make sure you don't have something like that happening?
So I think that, supervision, first line supervision, have the appropriate level of first line supervision. Excuse me. Keeping people trained. I think Massachusetts is probably above most police departments in the country in terms of, when I went to the FBI Academy, and you talk about what Massachusetts police officers do get paid, and there's a reason for a lot of that. With the Quinn bill, having higher educated officers, and that doesn't mean everyone has to, but the Massachusetts, a lot of departments, and Lowell is one of them, under the Quinn bill. We're under one of the original the Quinn bill in terms of officers getting educational incentive. So, the way we look at it is, especially if those more serious crimes, or God forbid someone's the victim of a crime, it's not a bad thing having someone that has a bachelor's degree or a master's degree testifying and on behalf of the city, against attorneys, right? That's who we go up against. We go up against attorneys when we go to court, and I think it does present a more professional, maybe better written reports in terms of the product that they put forth. And again, not everyone has to go to college. We have a tremendous amount of officers that haven't gone to college, and some of them that are going to and trying to get their degrees. So that's what we encourage. It's better for the citizens.
Now, we're fairly confident, the two of us, in Lowell Police's being proper in the way they handle a lot of cases. There is a certain subset out there in the city who have accused the police of brutality, and it's interesting because what made the Tyre Nichols case explode was the body camera footage getting released. You're about to unfurl a body camera program any day now, any week now. When will Lowell Police actually start using body cameras and they will be recording?
So we're hoping in March. Everything has to come into play in terms of getting delivery of the product, setting up the office, making sure that everything is, there's a lot of connectivity issues. We have to increase the bandwidth for the city to be able to download and absorb all the material that's going to be. The good thing is we're starting the pilot program with 30 officers. Our goal is to be on board in March. If it's March or the first week or so of April, that's our target. And again, the delay for anything in terms of putting the program into action is going to be all the logistics. Taking delivery of the product, the contract was finalized. We just, the council approved about a week ago to hire a digital evidence specialist, which there'll be a civilian in the office, and a sergeant and a patrolman will be running the program.
30 officers will be wearing body cameras at any given time, but you have a force of about 200 or so?
At full staff, we're 250. It'll be a 30-person for about a year pilot program. That's 10 officers per shift, 2 supervisors per shift, 8 officers. We'll try to spread them out through some of the specialty units as well.
Now, those officers generally paired up with somebody, so if 2 officers respond to an incident, can we be comfortable knowing that one of them will have a body camera on?
So we have a few 2-man or 2-person cruises, but not as many. So if we had it in our response, our gang unit type of, and there's 6 members of that unit, so if there was one in that unit, if they respond, then there'll be a body camera in that group. If someone's in patrol and multiple units respond, the hope is to have someone with a body camera.
There's been some concern about how those records will be kept, maintained, who will have access to them, and what can they be used for. Obviously, a case like Tyre Nichols or George Floyd, people are going to want to see that body camera footage. It's a public record, though, right? If I'm an attorney, let's say I'm trying to get somebody off on, a reckless driving charge or speeding ticket, will I be able to demand? Are you going to get bogged down in what I'm going to call frivolous requests, but they're not frivolous to the individual who would like some evidence that might be exculpatory and his or her attorney?
So there'll be certain instances which will trigger automatic saving of an incident if it's an arrest, if there's a report number attached to it. We're going to have a few mechanisms in place where the body cameras are automatically turned on if the blue lights are turned on. If someone draws their taser, it will automatically trigger the same company. So basically, and then when we do go online and every officer has the cameras, if one officer has and activates one of them, it will activate them all. So if someone forgets or someone, camera isn't, it will automatically activate the cameras.
So the technology is that advanced. You mentioned if somebody pulls a taser, it will activate the cameras. Is this the reason for the new firearms?
So no, the firearms are separate, and they don't have, we didn't like the product for if someone did draw their firearm. There's too many things that could go wrong with it automatically activating, and we wouldn't want to get the city in a situation where, if God forbid someone didn't turn it on in a situation like that, or it didn't work, that the officer could be blamed for that. And the hope would be that if there is a situation, a use of force like that there'll be other body cameras and other people on scene. So
And that will open the door to some potential. People are going to make that accusation anyway, that it was intentional not to turn it on, right?
There's a battery. The device was going to be in a position where it could be damaged, knocked off, and there were too many factors that could disrupt it from being active every time you needed it. So,
will the city and its law department need to craft any new policies? Have those already been crafted now? Because people like me are going to start asking for footage in certain controversial cases, right? It will be the standard, whatever applies with the law across the country as to public records applies here.
With the Post Commission, and yes, policies are already in place. And ready to go. Negotiated with both unions, the law department, so we're ready on that end. So.
All right. It's 10:23 here at InsideLowell.com. That is if you're watching us live on this Wednesday morning, February 1st. Who knows what time it is if you're watching this recording, but as we like to say at InsideLowell.com, we give you news, information, and sometimes entertainment on your schedule, not ours. So whenever you're watching us, we want to thank you for joining us. We want to thank our sponsors as well for making this morning's broadcast, as well as all of our InsideLowell.com content possible. Our friends at Reverie 73, not just any cannabis store, top of the line cannabis store. Their mission statement: to listen, explain, inspire, and delight. They've got a location right here in Lowell, 1148 Bridge Street, opening 2 more this year, one planned in Beverly, Mass, one in Gloucester, Mass. At Reverie 73, they're focused on customer education and the customer experience. So if you're new to the world of cannabis, or a canna connoisseur, as they like to call them, the team at Reverie 73 welcomes you. Visit them again at 1148 Bridge Street in Lowell, order online at reverie73.com. Thank you as well to our friends at Hafner's. You see their logo right over my, let's see, on your TV screen, left camera there. It kicks, they kick at Hafner's. In addition to auto pay and auto delivery, Hafner's offers seasonal budget and pre-buy plans. They offer propane and oil at competitive prices, and their next day delivery 24/7 service for oil customers, unparalleled. All of their services unparalleled as well. Call 866-IT-KICKS to learn more, 866-IT-KICKS, or visit hafners.com. And last but certainly not least, thanks to our friends at Washington Savings Bank. We here at Inside Lowell open an account there, treated with friendly, expert, knowledgeable service. They even give you some goodies. I got a coffee mug that I have to find. I misplaced it here in the office, but who knows what kind of goodies they'll give you for opening an account. What they will give you, if you open an account and you start direct depositing $1,000 in that account, whether it's a paycheck direct deposit, social security check, you put in $1,000 within a month, they're going to give you $300. 30% return on your investment. Can't beat that. WashingtonSavings.com to learn more. WashingtonSavings.com. We return with Lowell Police Superintendent Barry Goldner. You coming up on a year of being named the interim chief, although I'm lazy. I'm not going to say interim superintendent, interim chief. Is that still technically your title?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Been a year. The city manager in my radio days told me he would name a permanent chief in the fall. That didn't happen. In the fall, when he came here to these studios, he told me probably January, February. Here we are. It's February 1st. What do you know? You keep knocking on wood this morning.
Knock on wood. Every day's a good day, Ted. No, we haven't. I know that the manager talked that we would sit down. Everything's been pretty busy. We're moving into budget time, so I'm sure that at some point in the next month or so, him and I will have the chance to sit down and talk a little more about it.
So you haven't interviewed for the job? Is there a formal interview process that you're aware of?
There's no process set up. I know that the manager's probably, he had talked about doing some community outreach and some sit-downs, and he had done some a month or two back. So, we'll see. Like I said, for me, every day is a good day. We're moving forward with programs and a lot of good things in the department. I think things have been really running well for us. So, we'll see.
Okay. You've mentioned it in the past. It's no secret. It's a job that you're interested in getting the permanent title for. How long have you been an officer?
So I started in 1985. So my 37th year was December in law enforcement. Lowell in 1994. I spent 3.5 years as a deputy here under Chief Richardson, so I was fortunate enough to have that time. And the last almost it's 10 months, a little over 10 months now, as the interim superintendent. So for me, I'd be winding down if I'd very happy and love to get another year or so as the superintendent, and then hopefully give the deputies an opportunity to work with them a little more and get them ready to move up.
That's an interesting statement there. You're winding down. You'd love to serve another year or so, and you're actually thinking of calling it a career after that, or at least with Lowell Police?
I would say with law enforcement, that'll be if next December will be 38 years as a police officer. So that's a long time, and maybe move on, do something else for a short period of time, or nothing to do, maybe connected with law enforcement. I don't know, maybe cut some lawns or something.
Relax and enjoy life a little bit. You have is it 2 sons in law enforcement?
So I have one in law enforcement, one that's in the military, and another one that went to the dark side, and he's an attorney.
Has he fought against you in any case?
No, he practices out of state.
That's fascinating to me. So many of the officers, the younger officers you see on the street today, they've had a father, an uncle, some a grandfather, in many cases, multiple generations of people who've been officers. Why is that? Why does that seem to be so often the case in law enforcement?
There's a tradition. I think at least in Lowell, where there's a history of family members and relatives that have become police officers. It's always been I think it's a great profession. I say it a lot. Every day is a new day, right? You come in and you're never bored. There's always something different calls. The job has changed dramatically over the course of time, but it's still such an interesting, intriguing, and it's a great job. And the pay is for people, it's a very good living. Mm-hmm. So I think that's some of the attraction.
Interesting that you call it a great job. A lot of people have theorized that as we go and as the climate starts to change out there with national issues trickling down everywhere, that it's going to be harder and harder to recruit police officers, especially quality ones, and standards may have to be lower just to be able to meet staffing numbers. Does that concern you and your colleagues?
So, it's obviously something that we look at, but we continually talk about not lowering our standards, looking at our background checks and making sure that we're dotting the I's and crossing the T's when we're looking at potential candidates for the city. To try to vet out issues or that may down the road be a potential. If something pops out, then normally it probably is an issue. Massachusetts has a very, I think, rigorous hiring process through civil service, and with medical backgrounds, psychological backgrounds. There's an enormous amount of money and time spent. It takes months to get to the point to hire someone. We've probably been a little bit luckier than some other agencies in terms of candidates, and we're looking to hire up to 8 to 10 right now for this May. And we've been lucky. One officer that had left a year ago is coming back, so he's certified. So we don't have to spend the academy is about 9 months and then 15 weeks of training. So it's almost a year by the time you would see someone on the street. And we also have 3 other certified officers that came off the list from other departments that we're going to be hiring. So they'll only need like a 4 to 5 week training process. So the city of Lowell benefits greatly. They don't have to go to the academy, and we'll see an immediate benefit with 4 officers that'll be on the street in a very short amount of time. And then, whether it's 4, 5, 6, or 7 officers that'll go to an academy, and we'll see those probably sometime next year. You're
not the only force that's looking for officers. We're seeing a big push out on social media. Boston's running campaigns, other big cities, and to Lowell as well has got a PR campaign kind of trying to encourage people from different backgrounds as well to join police. How concerned are you that forces, especially the big city ones like a Boston, New York, et cetera, are going to start cannibalizing forces your size by stealing some of your better men and women?
We were lucky. I don't think anyone is put in to go to Boston. And the one thing in civil service that the appointing authority, which would be the city manager, has the authority to veto that. and that's why a lot of people don't. So right now, if the appointing authority didn't have that veto right, we'd probably have a lot more certified officers that would want to transfer to the city of Lowell. But you can't transfer without that authority. So you don't. We're not getting a lot of those. So when we look for transfers, we're very lucky to have gotten 2 transfers already this year. So then they came right off of from other civil service departments. I think that we're lucky that Lowell pays fairly well. We have a lot of diversity in terms of functions inside the department. So opportunity for someone that comes from a smaller department makes it a better view for people to look at.
And last but certainly not least, community policing. The Lowell Police Department has been cited as a national model going well back into the 90s. I know it's been an effort of every chief since Superintendent Davis, right on down to you. What, if any, other initiatives are you launching or have just launched to continue to make Lowell Police a leader in the community policing?
So we just actually, through the city manager, and we just hired our first cadets for our cadet program, which is a way to circumvent, if you might say, civil service in terms of hiring. So with our cadet program, we're able to choose individuals between the ages, I think it's 19 and a half to 23, and they'll go through our cadet program for a period of 2 years, learn everything about the police department. They're full-time paid employees of the city, at which time we'll be able to utilize, hire 1 for every 3 out of the cadet program onto the police department. Kind of mirrored the Boston cadet program. So we're able to select some individuals, maybe more diverse, more within the population of the city of Lowell, and people that might not have had the ability or don't score well on civil service tests, but are quality candidates. So they become an employee. They learn a lot about the police department and how we operate. And then if they, pass and do well, then they can move on to become a police officer when we go to hire 2 years from now. The other advantage is maybe they don't want to be a police officer, but they want to be a dispatcher or work as a detention attendant or any other city field. They're already a vetted city employee. So it's going to be a great program. Where right now we have 3 positions, and we look forward to it. We're still looking to hire 1 more.
What about initiatives doing youth outreach? Because to me, one of the best ways to prevent crime is to get people young and detour them from activities that may lead to a life of crime and get them into activities that'll, send them down a different path with more positive outcomes. What types of efforts can you do? Are there any new creative ideas out there? Have we tried them all?
So, a lot of our ideas are mirror what's already been going on, but we're looking to do it a little differently. So we basically the Lowell Public Schools have become a big partner of ours, and they've welcomed us. And our youth service officers are in the schools, in the middle schools. We're trying to target with the youth services during the day, the middle school program. We're teaching, some health and wellness in the middle schools in conjunction. I know that with our new school resource officer, youth services position, Erica Torres, I was just told that we may be working and going to help out in like home economics program. And so we're looking to do whatever we can to reach, the youth in the community. We have our boxing program, which is our original, and we have our own boxing gym at the Portuguese American Youth Center at 739 Central Street, which is, we have over 100 youth signed up, and we average about 40 to 50 per day. There's a couple classes per day.
Any of them fighting in the gloves this year?
No,
graduated?
Not yet. But we do have a lot of individuals. We're probably 50% female as well in our program. We have a lot of young girls that train in the program, and that's so it's all about learning some discipline, learning some skills, and health and wellness as well. So we partnered with the CCF. Christian Community Fellowship Church on Principal Pastor Najem. He was looking to do something with his youth. He has over 500 families in his congregation. So we're starting this month, 2 days a week. We're running a basketball program for them. They have their own gym in the in their facility, and then with Father Sanella and Holy Trinity, and we just finished a Friday night basketball program, which was 6 to 9:30 on Friday nights to get the kids off the street. And we had officers running like an open gym, and we'd average 20, 30, sometimes 40 kids on a Friday night in the gym. So that was a very successful program. We're running basketball clinics, wrestling clinics, partnering with whoever we can. I think we talked before, the Sean Collier Foundation has been an enormous supporter of the Lowell programs, and they're looking to put even more money into our youth services program. So we look forward to continuing the partnerships and moving forward in the schools. We added, so the last 3 school resource officers, we changed their hours till 10 till 6 at night, so they work from 3 to 6 in our youth services program after school, so that we can add that support from the police in the program.
There's been a lot of criticism of the school administration, superintendent, and others saying that they tried to kind of get rid of resource officers, and they pointed to some COVID days with a decline in them. You're actually painting a completely different picture. You're painting a true partnership with the school department.
Oh, they're a great partnership, and I know Robin Desmond and Carolyn Rocheleau have been big supporters of the police in the partnership with the police and the youth in the school. So our youth services program works with them on a daily, weekly basis. So I don't think we'd be in the schools without the support of the Lowell Public Schools. So,
right. Chief Barry Goldner, thank you for joining us this morning. It's been a pleasure to have you here. Lots to talk about. Maybe next time we bring you in, we won't have a nationwide controversy dominating. We can talk more about some of the positive things happening here in the Mill City.
Can I mention one last thing?
Betcha. Your show. We got nothing but time here at Inside Lowell.
Lastly, and hopefully in the next few weeks, we're finalizing that the police department is going to be unveiling a new Lowell Police website. And the reason why I'd like to bring it up is it's going to give you the ability to translate immediately everything on our website in over 100 languages by the press of a button with Google Translate. So that's really a great feature for the diversity in our city and all the different languages and dialects. So we're looking forward to it. There's some great benefits to this new website with links to state laws, links to other city websites, links to whatever there may be, the ability to access forms to, if you wanted to praise a police officer, file a complaint against a police officer, or sign up for our youth program. So sign up for alerts, on traffic hazards. So we're looking forward to this. We're finalizing. We're working, I think, tomorrow morning on hopefully finalizing some corrections to get to the website designer, and then move forward in the next few weeks to unveil it.
So every page, every drop-down box feature will be able to be translated into 100 languages?
It's over 100 languages. I don't know if the forms that you'll download will be translatable, but everything on the website, all the information will
instructions, etc.
will all be translatable into the different languages.
Do we know which languages Lowell doesn't speak? Because at last check, we speak 70 languages in Lowell. You're adding 30 extra.
Yeah, and again, I don't know. They told me it's over 100 languages, so it's something that we'll have to explore. But I know that when you click on, and immediately it changes to the language, so it's really going to be a nice feature.
And when is that unveiling? Because I'm going to go proofread your Greek section.
Hopefully in the next few weeks, and I'm going to make sure that, or maybe we'll send it to you to preview it.
Sounds good. So lots of new things coming between the tools your officers are going to have out on the streets to the website, and then of course the body cameras that I think once and for all, personally, I think once and for all, it's going to be great to have that, because it'll put to bed a lot of the accusations that I say most of them are false, but might also help weed out some of the potential bad situations. How do you look at it as a chief?
So I look at it with the men and women of the Lowell Police Department, that this is only going to show everyone, and I've said it before, that we're out there doing the right thing. And I think, to echo what you had said, that I think it's only going to help in situations, and maybe to deter some false complaints, complaints that might have happened that won't. And when we go to full implementation with 250, everyone has it, that'll be the better thing for the city.
I think some defense attorneys are not looking forward to it, though, because it's going to eliminate some of the reasonable doubt that they can create in a very high percentage of cases.
And I think it's going to be important to show what the men and women of the Lowell Police Department do on a daily basis, show that they're doing when they say that something happened, we'll show that it did happen, or someone's behavior was egregious, it's going to show that. So I look forward to it, and I hope the men and women, everyone down the all the ranks looking forward to it as well.
All right, Chief Goldner, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Have a great day out there.
Thank you very much.
All right, that is Lowell Police Superintendent Barry Goldner joining us here in our studios. I kept him long. He's running off. He's got things to do. He's got to keep the streets safe. We're excited to have you join us again. If you missed any or all of this interview, it will be on our websites, YouTube channel, social media, instantly, literally within minutes. News and information on your schedule, not ours. InsideLowell.com. Check it out. All the stories, the human interest features, the sports, you name it, we've got you covered. As we like to say, if Lowell is your home, this is your place. Thanks for joining us this morning. We'll talk to you again soon.